Hey there. This week I was talking with Dr. Brandy Keats, and we were talking about being stuck. How we visionary entrepreneurs really like to be working on the future, as she would call living in the future, and being dragged back into the present to deal with stuff that's not really in our unique ability. I think is the gist of the conversation, and I think there's a lot of great points being there. And a lot of times we're told as entrepreneurs, we're supposed to be able to do everything. We're supposed to do like everything everyone else does. There's a lot of these expectations and unrealistic bullshit realities that's enforced on us as entrepreneurs. And honestly, if you're a visionary entrepreneur, you're completely misunderstood because a lot of people do not understand how we can see and envision the future. And like Brandy said, I really like it. I see it. I've been there in my head, and we know exactly what it's going to be. And a lot of times we have a hard time explaining that, what the vision and how it's going to feel and see it, because the reality is a lot of people do not have that ability. That's why we're a small percentage. But the people have to have faith in us that we can get to a future they don't quite see and understand. And it almost needs a faith there. And a lot of times we get ourselves in the way as well. And it's because it's a lot of rules that we've created. And one of her examples is that when she commits to do something, she will get it done no matter what effects it has on her, even if it's negative, even if it's not going to help and she knows she should quit. But since she made that commitment to get it done, she made it to her, not to someone else. She will get it done. And she thought, I mean, she said, "Oh, that's an ADHD thing. That's a problem with ADHD." It's not. That's not necessarily an ADHD thing. That is a core belief or an internal story that we've told ourselves that's been ingrained in us based on something that's happened in the past. Okay. So these are rules we created for ourselves based on our past. I know for me, I had the same, I still struggle with it, but I have the same thing. When I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Why? Because honestly, it was way, way past. I was doing it so that I would not look bad to a certain authority figure. I did it so much now it became ingrained and became my internal story, my core belief that if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, I'm going to look bad to everyone. We believe that now becomes a habit and it becomes so ingrained. We don't think about it anymore. We just do it until life grabs you by the hands, not the hands, by the head or whatever, and shakes you or slaps you or kicks you to realize, wait a minute, I've got to stop following other people's rules. Okay. And what I mean by rules is rules to dictate how you do things and how you execute how you should do stuff. We talk a lot about unique ability, especially the people who's been a strategic coach on the podcast. What we are identifying is what our best unique abilities are, where we bring the greatest value to our team, to our clients, to the world. And we need to be in that space because that generates a lot of positive energy that we want to have around and everyone wants around. But when we keep stepping down from our unique ability to excellent, incompetent, competent tasks, we don't enjoy those. We're not fun. Then we're being criticized that we're hard on people and we're like testy and sensitive. Well, when you're doing shit you don't like to do, of course you're not going to be perky and happy. And people think you're being selfish by doing this, but we got to stop falling in that trap. It's not being selfish that you want to do things that brings you joy and passion. Now, I'm not saying you can get rid of everything. There's still a percentage that you got to do of stuff you don't enjoy, but we can reduce that percentage a lot so you're more happy than frustrated. Okay. So, having that said, when we have all these core beliefs ingrained in us from our past, okay, we become our own worst enemy. And Brandy did touch on this. And like I say myself, it doesn't matter what you do or say to me. You can say nothing worse than what I say to myself. And the expectations I put on myself are unreal. Having that said, a lot of times high achievers do this too, is the high expectations we put on ourselves. We expect that from others, and we got to be cognizant of that. But at the same time, we got to be cognizant of that. And we're not putting exceptional standards or expectation on ourselves so that we fail all the time. Think about that. Your own self is setting you up to fail as much as possible. If you keep doing that, if your brain keeps doing that, your internal story keeps doing that, do you think you're ever going to feel that you achieved and succeeded and you get to a happy place? That's a tough thing. Every time you get there, oh, it could have been better. If you missed this, you missed that. Oh man, you suck. Oh, you're not committing, you're not going to do it. Oh, you lazy little shit. You can't do it or you're dumb. This is the stuff that we talk about to ourselves. And we've got to take ownership of that. And I think a lot of that has to do is we got to create our own rules. We got to understand, we got to create new rules. Sorry. And a lot of the rules or core beliefs that we have that we create for ourselves, we got to look back and say, hey, is this commitment I'm going to do? Is this what I want to do? Or is this some sort of internal rule that I created that appeases someone else? Is this commitment going to appease someone else and not me? And look back to see if this is truly what you want to do. And it should be a rule for you. Okay. So the question is that rule that you created for yourself, is it your rule or someone else's rule, or a rule to get appreciation from someone else from your past or even the present? Okay. And a lot of the thing is fear is self-created by our internal stories and our internal core belief. So when we keep shitting on ourselves like this, we keep telling ourselves we suck, we are now become more fearful to try and do things that will bring us success and fun. And who created that fear? You're fearful of yourself shitting on you later. So that's another reason why we procrastinate. That's another reason we won't do things. We are afraid of ourselves a lot of times because of the negative talk, because it became so ingrained in you over the past decades. It's just natural. And if you don't realize, if you're not aware that this is because of shit that's happened in the past, it's not your ADHD brain. Your ADHD brain may amplify the negative rumination, but it's not ADHD. It's something that happened in the past frequently that your brain came up with a maladaptive protection mechanism to protect you, to make you safe, or to make you feel good. But in the end, think about that. We're fearful of ourselves if we succeed, or we're fearful of what we will tell ourselves later if we don't succeed. And yes, it is us talking to ourselves in the end, but the creation of that is not us. It was from outside influences, outside energies from our past. So we got to look back, not a week, not a couple of days, years, decades. And once you get an understanding of where that fear is coming from, or where those rules were in place for the purpose, what was the purpose of the rule? To make you look good, to make you feel appreciated, to make you feel loved. Like for me, workaholic with consulting and, kind of sacrificing relationship with a wife, it was because I felt very special and appreciated. And I never had that when I was growing up. Now I got that awareness. Now I start to look for appreciation elsewhere. But I did that for almost 20 years, not knowing. So in the end, what rules do you have in place that are not yours? They're maladaptive, they're negative. What stories are you telling yourself that's putting you down? Why? Ask why and look back why that rule was created. It's not easy. It's hard work, but we can all do it. And it's worth it at the end to get that realization, because Brandy shared a lot with us this week, and I'm very proud of her. And I'm very proud of anyone that's able to do that. Because when we share stories, we see ourselves in a lot of other people, or other people see themselves in us. And then they get to talk about it, they start to realize, and they become a better person. So let's all keep talking. Let's get the fear of ourselves out of us. And thanks again for listening. And I want your opinion on this thought, because this actually wasn't a bad one. It wasn't a bad one. So thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.